Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. My name is Justin, and on today's episode, we're going to have some fun as we are just hours away from kickoff of this new 2025 season campaign in the NFL. We have a lot of great action coming into you throughout the weekend, and I can't wait to talk about that. We are going to have some fun on this show each and every Thursday as we predict, just for the hell of it, who we think are going to win in each game, kind of recording our predictions, coming back, evaluating. Hey, sometimes you have luck, sometimes you don't. I would like to think that as we pay attention to the games, pay attention to the season, you kind of create, all right, who's going to win, who's not. But time has shown that hey, football is in every given Sunday. Anything can happen, and we can see this early on. We have our fan favorites. We think that teams like the Chiefs or like the Bills or like you know the Eagles are going to have such success, and that's possibly so. But we really don't know what they're capable of until we watch them play week in and week out. And so a team like the Bears, who I think is going to fall down towards the bottom of that, of standings, be early eliminated, not contending for a wild card spot, they could surprise us. Anything could happen. I mean, it's the NFL. So this is what's fun about it. I'm not an expert by all means, so don't quote me. I encourage you guys to play along. Let me know down in the comments who you guys think will win. If it's a specific game, that's fine by me. If you guys want to play the entire week by week games, that's also fine by me. So we will cover each and every game, kind of give you a brace. Now, I don't have this crystal ball, and I don't have all the information for all 16 games. All right. So some game teams I'm going to go by fast. Some teams I'm going to explain a little bit better. It's going to also may sound repetitive, redundant, right? Saying the same things for each game and all that fun stuff. I mean, I feel there is an importance. I know players get this, and coaches get asked this question all the time, and I think for them it's quite frustrating because they always get asked, "Well, what do you need to do to get off to a good start?" And I was actually listening to a report. Someone talked to T. Higgins, asked him that same question. He was like, listen, we have to execute. It's the same thing. Everyone's going to tell you the same answer. You got to execute. Defense has to hold their offense to a limited number of points. We got to establish the run game. People got to be healthy. People got to get it going. And so, I believe it's the same formula for each team, right? And if you ask all 32 teams, they're going to tell you the exact same answer: is that we want to win. There's not going to be a team out there that says, "Oh, I'm just going to ease into it." Although there are teams that are capable of easing into the season and then not having to worry about it, or not having them, have to be affected by it. We see it from the Chiefs all the time. But yes, I mean, all 32 teams, establish a defense, establish a run game, establish, your chemistry between your receivers and quarterbacks. There's a lot of things that can help lead to a first game win. Every team wants to pick up their first win on the season, wants to pick up their first home win, wants to pick up the first road win. These are checkpoints that every team has to cross off in the beginning of the season. So, as we've talked about the Bengals, we've emphasized the importance to getting off to the fast start because we always find ourselves playing catch up in after Thanksgiving, where every game is crucial. Well, teams perform better under pressure, right? They perform better in critical situations and do or die, scenarios. Lose and go home. So, as a fan, I don't want my team to be playing, having to win the last 4 games of the season, depending on those 4 wins, just to make it into a wild card. At some point, fatigue catches up to you. And so, those are things that as you have a different team that you're following, Hey, it's all the same for all 32 ball clubs. And when, what's so great about a new fresh start of a season, same thing with baseball, same thing for basketball, even hockey, is that everyone starts off 0-0. Everyone starts off at 100% chance at winning, at making it to the playoffs, at going to a Super Bowl, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys. I got to do the right one. Yeah. So before we get started on this, I wanted to fill some time in our episode. So what we're actually going to do here before I give you my week to week opinion is kind of review the Cincinnati Bengals schedule. I have not gotten the chance to do this with all 32 teams, but because we cover Cincinnati and the local sports majority on our podcast, I like to do something that you can find all the time throughout the summer about with NFL analyst on Sports Center on NFL Network, and that is we break down the schedule and find games that we should win, find challenges down the road, because just have fun with it. It's nothing too serious, but compare and contrast, and who knows, see how well I can do, right? So that's kind of the intentions. I'll do that, and then we'll cover week one for our program. That'll be our main focus point. Um, but I want to take this time. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe. We're not just a podcast channel. We also host sports gaming with WWE 2K Universe mode. We have a SmackDown on Mondays, NXT on Wednesdays, Raw on Mondays, NXT on Wednesdays, SmackDown on Fridays, main event on Thursdays, on Saturdays, and PLEs on weekends throughout the course of the year. We just got out of a huge WrestleMania weekend. A lot of shows were presented. It was a fun time. Um, I encourage you to go back and check those matches out. We had Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. Um, we had we had Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship. We had The Rock versus Roman Reigns in Bloodline Rules. We had a triple threat ladder match, TLC match between the Dudley Boys, Motor City Machine Guns, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. So it's our little universe mode that we publish on our channel. We also have MLB The Show franchise mode. We don't play as a particular team. We pick out matches that or games that we think are exciting to watch that week, and we present to them the best we can. By doing that, as we head into the playoffs, we could do more situational playoff implication games for for viewers' enjoyment. So right now we have Toronto, the Dodgers, Milwaukee. They're all looking for a playoff spot. And so a lot of games this week that you're seeing was with Toronto because they're on the outskirts looking in, trying to earn that final spot in that playoff. So that's what's right now going on in our MLB The Show franchise series. Check out those games. Those are all just strictly simulated games being played for your viewership. Throughout the Madden 26 season, as the NFL season gets underway, we have our Madden 26. We have this week, we have simulated games between the Bills, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Chargers, Chiefs, Vikings, and Bears. We are playing through the course of the Cincinnati Bengals schedule in the franchise mode. So we have to play those simulated games as a quick style play. Thank you to Madden creators for the fun experience of Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night football. I'm excited to see what the halftime show presents. We'll see that a little bit later on. But it allows us to get that broadcast style in, as well as just going back in. Now, the only difference is that because it's being played through quick play, I have to go in and force the home or team away to win. So the scores are going to be different, but the concept is the same. So this week we have kicking off tonight, Cowboys, Eagles. Tomorrow, Chiefs, Chargers. This Sunday we'll have the Bengals and Browns. We have the Ravens and Bills, and then Monday Night Football week one we have the Vikings and the Bears. So that's what to look out for. Like and share each and every video. If you share it with a friend, let us know how we're doing. Leave a comment down below. We want to hear your voice and how we can improve ourselves the best we can. So that is what's going on our channel here today. So let's get underway with the Cincinnati Bengals schedule here. One thing I want to reiterate to everybody as we get going, you know, just last week we discovered we were given the information that Trey Hendrickson and was re-signed with the Bengals. They were able to work out a deal. It was a 1-year, $30 million deal. Also, the Bengals signed a offensive lineman in Dalton Rensner to help with the offense this year. And I want to just remind people, although it's a sigh of relief, maybe that panic button doesn't get pressed. Hey, the Bengals are paying attention and listening to where they need assistance on. It's all great and all, but realistically, they didn't do anything to really improve themselves. We knew Trey Hendrickson was going to be a part of this 53-man roster at some point in time. We knew that, but we knew that he was going to help this defense out. But this defense, still with Trey Hendrickson, is still such low regarded on that ranking system for the defense. So it wasn't like we picked up this blockbuster deal like a Micah Parsons going to the Green Bay Packers. That's huge news. They didn't have a top tier defensive rush until they were able to trade for Micah Parsons. Now the Green Bay defense looks dangerous. Dalton Resner, yeah, he's a good free agent. I don't know, but the problem is that he was a free agent. So you're telling me all 32 NFL teams did not want him. So the question is, what is wrong with him? And I'm not saying that he's not going to contribute. I'm hearing reports that with this addition, it helps solidifies the missing link. You got to remember, Cordell Volson got injured during preseason. So he's going to miss the entire year with the shoulder injury. So we really are only kind of replacing what we lost from the preseason. It reestablishes our little bit of confidence that we have that we could be a really good team. Like I said, anything can happen any given Sunday. It's football. So the one thing I want you to compare, maybe you're doing this with your own team, maybe trying to pick and choose. You take into considerations home games, road games. Are you opening up at home? Are you opening up on the road? Your objectives and your goals. You want to win your first home game. You want to win your first game of the season. You want to win your first road game. What does your trips look like this year? Okay. The Bengals head off in week 3 and 4 on the road to face NFC North teams in the Minnesota Vikings and the AFC West and Denver Broncos. The Mile High has a lot of altitude. A lot of people struggle playing in Denver. Early on in the season, it may help depending how the weather is. If it's hot, you take the air out. You take the air out if it's cold. So what's that weather going to look like? We have the Vikings. We play the Lions, who are expected to be good this year. Micah Parsons and the Packers this year. Pittsburgh's are always a fun challenge. We'll meet them on Thanksgiving. Well, we'll actually meet Baltimore Ravens on Thanksgiving, I believe. But we go down the list. We got Buffalo. We got Baltimore, which is a combination. It's Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. Back to back to back to kick off December. So as I mentioned, if we're relying on our last 5 to 6 games where we have to win, we have 3 tough games there, and then we got to go to Miami before we come home. We are home for Pittsburgh, home for New York Jets, home for the Chicago Bears, and then we have a bye week in the middle of our season. So we'll be home and not have to travel for 4 consecutive weeks, which could be a good deal. We'll have 2 road games back-to-back out there in the back end of the year, and that's pretty much it. So there's all that consideration. Also, those teams who go out to different countries. For example, this week in week 1, we have Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers out in Brazil. Now, I don't think the Chargers, there's not many teams that play well at neutral sites. I know the Chargers don't typically. I feel like the Chiefs are more comfortable and relaxed. They're a Joe Montana, right? Of being able to play in international states. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, are over. I mean, the Cleveland Browns are over in London October 5th to take on the Minnesota Vikings. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers are over in Dublin, Ireland on September 28th. So back to back weeks to take on the Minnesota Vikings. I will. If you're the Vikings, you're trying to do that schedule, that has to be challenging. Time differences, weather, I mean, neutral sites, being on the road for almost 2 to 3 weeks. Man, I would hate to be the Minnesota Vikings this year. And maybe that's why they're not projected to be so great. But let's get right down to it. We kick things off with the Cleveland Browns, a team that I will say we still struggle out on the road at Cleveland. I think that re-signing, being able to get a contract deal, avoiding Trey Hendrickson possibly sitting out week 1, and then picking up an O-line to replace Cordell is a relief, and it gets us back to our confidence from the preseason. We talk about the importance of picking up a victory. I just think that there's so much that Cleveland wants to figure out first and how they want to address the season, that it's going to be a week-by-week situation on who they decide to throw out there. Right now, they're going with Joe Flacco. They have Kenny Pickett, and I think at some time, it's either you want to move on from Shedeur Sanders, or you want to keep him. And at some point, if you keep him, you got to put him on the field. So what I'm thinking is that I'm kicking off with the Bengals getting off to that start. It's an easy win. It's a should-win scenario. There's no doubt about it. They come home and have that first home opener against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. If I look deep into what they have to deal with here, let me just turn to their page in the schedule books. In week 1, they're hosting the Carolina Panthers. Jaguars are easing into this schedule with the Panthers and then on the road to Cincinnati before taking on the Houston Texans, which for them is going to be a good matchup. I think Cincinnati should come in and be able to take the first 2 games. I have no doubt about that. So I think that the first 2 games of the season, the Bengals should start 2-0, which is surprising to me, but we do talk about getting off to a good start. Before Minnesota takes a trip, we got to go to Minnesota and hold on to them. They sure will like to pick up a victory before heading out to the other countries. So I feel like Minnesota could be a struggle, but I think it is possible to be able to beat them. Then we got to go out to Denver. And then we come home to Detroit at the end of September, beginning of October. And that's where I think things start becoming a little bit unsettled. I think we take the first 2 of the season. I believe we should pick up Minnesota. If we don't pick up Minnesota, we pick up Denver. If we don't pick up Minnesota, I could even see us losing Denver. It's a primetime game. It'll be in their turf at the Mile High Stadium. So yeah, I think we finish off September with at least a 2-2 or a 3-1 record. October is going to be a bit challenging because we have Detroit. We're in Green Bay, and we're home to Pittsburgh. It's the first time looking at Aaron Rodgers in a bumblebee uniform before we get the Jets, and I feel like that becomes a fatigue. It's 4:25, and then a primetime game on our home, and I think that's the blackout game or the stripe game, and then we have the Jets, and then Chicago. So if we could start the month of September out with those 5 games, or 4 games, 2-2, maybe drop Detroit, Green Bay, or pick up one of them, or we could probably finish off 2, 4, 4-5. I'm hoping 5-4, or even 4-3, or 6-3. That would be a good way to start the season. So the challenging part of the season, I think, is going to be in October: Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and then I'm going to throw in Denver, even Minnesota for stands. And then we come back from a bye. We're in Pittsburgh. We're home to New England. And then we start another tough part of our schedule. For Thanksgiving Thursday, we have the Baltimore Ravens on the road before going to Buffalo. We're in Buffalo this year. Coming home to Baltimore, and then we have Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. So there's two parts of the schedule where I think the Bengals are going to struggle the most at, and the biggest part's going to be the first half of the season. And then I think if we don't capitalize and take advantage, and we can't, hold our ground on the first half of the season, when we get to Buffalo, Baltimore, those 3 games could really define how we head into a postseason run. I'm not saying Arizona, just because we're facing Arizona and Miami, and they're not no top tier teams, just like the Jets or Chicago, doesn't mean we could overlook them. Yeah, these are games that we should win. I strongly believe that Cleveland, we should take both games. I believe that Arizona, we should be able to take. Miami, we should be able to take. The Patriots, we should be able to take. You see that? That's 5 teams right there. Chicago, Jets, right? Jacksonville. I got 8 games so far. 8. Yeah, 8. Cleveland, Arizona, Miami, Patriots, Chicago, New York, Jacksonville. I got 8. So what? You throw in a Minnesota or a Denver, that's 9. That's a winning season. You throw in one against Pittsburgh, that's 10. Shoot, maybe we could beat Buffalo. So maybe 9, 10 wins? And is that good enough to hit a playoffs run? The key note, if you're Cincinnati, to take away from this is that you are starting the season off healthy. And, you have your quarterback's healthy. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is healthy. Gesicki is healthy. You have a solid O-line that's healthy, especially with the addition to Rensner. You have Chase Brown back there that's healthy, right? Then you have a defense that I think with Trey Hendrickson is kind of valued a little bit more. So it's promising. So we come in, we have a healthy team. I think we don't need to over push ourselves, but I think there is an importance of winning game 1 against the Cleveland Browns. All right, let's get to our predictions in week 1 of the NFL. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and I'll predict each game, but I don't have something to say for each game. We kick things off with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are defending Super Bowl champions. They're at Lincoln Financial Stadium, where it's going to be a packed house. And the big news that's coming out of it is that there's no Micah Parsons on the Dallas Cowboys defense. How much has this affected the Dallas Cowboys? And is this distraction and upset to Cowboy fans, and I'm going to show some players on the team, how much is this going to affect their performance? You know that the Eagles, they want to go back to the World Series. They are favored to go back to the World Series, not World Series, Super Bowl here, right? I just, maybe if the Cowboys kept Micah Parsons, I would have called this a competitive game. It would have been a flip coin. I could see both teams playing very well. But because of the outcome, I kind of just now, and it's just solidifies. I have to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like they're the strong suit of this. I feel like this Micah Parsons deal kind of is the damper to the Cowboys season, and the season hasn't even started yet. And the bad news on this is, yeah, what they got the next 4 years in first round picks. Sure, they got security, but what did you get now? Did you get anything to improve their defense, or did you just say, hey, part ways? So, um, I feel like this kind of damps the mood now. If any team has a chance to come back, it's the Cowboys, the Americans team. But I think Philadelphia has that momentum going for them to kick off this year. That's Thursday night football game. That's coming up here late, just a little bit later on tonight. Tomorrow, then we have an international game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The Kansas City Chiefs take on the Los Angeles Chargers. I find the Chargers, they struggle on these scenarios and these situations. Kansas City Chiefs doesn't look like a team that panics. They don't look like, they're the best. They actually put their best work out when they're backs up against the wall in critical situations, when it's fourth quarter, 2-minute warning, and they're down by 7. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, they are the Joe Montanas in the NFL. You could put them up against a rugby team, and they're just going to nonchalantly act like they know what they're doing. Sure, they're towards the end of this run. Maybe they're not towards the end of this run, but they're an older team. They're an older team that if another team like the Ravens or like the Bills or even like the Chargers have a chance to capture and pick up a victory, this is the team to do it. The Chargers, I'm starting to like the Chargers. It's been a while. Got Keenan Allen, got Khalil Mack, Justin Herbert. I started liking them again when Jim Harbaugh got back into coaching. But I just find that they struggle. It's kind of painful to watch sometimes. And to get this game out there, in international, in Brazil, I don't know. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs will pick up this victory. It won't be a walk through the park. It won't be an easy win. But if any team that can come back and prevail at such time, Kansas City can do so. All right, we head over to our weekend game. Sunday, we have the Bengals and the Browns. And as I mentioned, this is a game where I think that the Bengals is a must-win. It's a should-win game. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's ready to go. We got all of our ducks lined up in a row. No controversies in the backfield. At least cross our fingers. And this should be a fun game. You set the tone for the season. Take advantage of a vulnerable Browns team, expose them for what they're really are going to be this year, and you don't see them for another 17 weeks. So opportunities knocking at your door to start the season off 1-0, and you know how bad people want you to do that. I like the Commanders over the Giants, another team that is favored to be a wild card contender. This is going to be the first time seeing Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. They're taking on the New York Jets, a former Aaron Rodgers team. It's a little bittersweet. Obviously, that deal failed. I like Pittsburgh out of this one in this deal, and they're also looking to set that tone. I think they're a little bit underestimated in this division, undervalued, and I think Aaron Rodgers wants that comeback moment. He didn't have that success with the Jets. Yeah, he got hurt, unfortunate. But I think, he wants that moment, and he gets that moment. And what other great way to do that other than doing it with the Jets? The Raiders over in New England to take on the Patriots. You got Chip Kelly. You have Geno Smith. You have Pete Carroll. I think it's all great one-punch combinations. I don't know. This one I'm kind of going up in the air because I also like the Patriots in this one as they're trying to move forward in the division. And plus, they're at home, too. But I think I think we're going to be surprised to see what comes away of the Las Vegas Raiders this season. They're not going to win every game given. But I think under these coin flip games, they may be able to pull away with something with the right coaches on the field. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons, an NFC North division rival game. The two teams that are expected to be at the top of the division by the end of the year. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, as a team not only to win this game, but to win the division. The Dolphins over in Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be interesting. A lot of people are buying in on the Daniel Jones, opportunity. Anthony Richardson's in the background. I still don't know the future of the Colts, although I tell you, you're going up against Tua, and I honestly think that Miami's going to walk away with the victory this weekend. We got the Carolina Panthers over in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence versus Bryce Young. I want the Panthers to improve this year, and it starts this game. If you make a statement at all, this game is the game that you improve on because it's going to help set the tone, give you faith, give you confidence. And I think, but I guess I'm a little bit concerned. I'm going to go safe and go with Jacksonville. I may be wrong on that one. Next up, we have the Cardinals versus the Saints. I think the Saints are trying to just reestablish themselves. I'm going with Arizona on this one on the road. Tennessee over in Denver. There's so much I like about Bo Nix, Sean Payton, that I have to choose Denver at Mile High. They have a field. They have a not a friendly field, but they have a home field advantage. 49ers versus the Seahawks. Sam Donald, I believe, was a much better replacement than Geno Smith. I don't know what's going on with San Francisco. I think this could be a coin flip if everyone remains healthy. Last year, I think the 49ers were just prone to injuries and were never able to bounce back. I do have, the Seattle is a tough stadium to play at, just like Arrowhead. I have the Seahawks winning this one in game one of their matchups. We have the Rams over home at SoFi Stadium taking on the Texans, where I have the Texans losing to the Rams. Look for the CJ Stroud, though, as a learning point. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong on this one and Texans take a victory away. I think Houston is one of the favorites to win the AFC South. We also have, I think, the primetime game of the week. 4:25 kickoff. The Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. With the addition to Micah Parsons, I would have argued that this game here, I would have had the Lions beat the Packers. I know, crazy, right? But with the Micah Parsons deal, I think that this could be I think it brings a motivation to this team that I think Green Bay comes out on top. So I have the Packers beating the Lions in week one. Sunday night football, you have the Ravens taking on the Bills in Buffalo. This is a game, just like the Lions and Packers, that should be considered, late December when playoffs, implications are on the line. We're getting treated to a lot of great matchups early on. Dallas Eagles, Chargers, Chiefs, right? Ravens, Bills. I can almost not decide this one, but I got to go home field advantage of this one. I'm probably going to be wrong on this one. I think that Lamar Jackson, they're kind of that hidden gemstone. They know what they need to do. Everyone knows what they need to do, and they're capable of doing it. And they could execute it. But you're in Buffalo. They're fighting for the same thing. It's kind of like that battle for second place early on. And whoever wins has that leverage to go after the Chiefs in a battle for first place. I'm almost to believe and positive that the winner of this Bills and Ravens game, like I said, I'm choosing the Bills. I am kind of up in the air thinking that the Ravens can win. But whoever wins this game, I could almost they're going to have the number 1 or number 2 seed in the AFC. It's a pretty bold prediction. We wrap up things with Monday Night Football as the Minnesota Vikings take on the Chicago Bears. And I got Minnesota winning this game, as Chicago, I think, has some ways to figure things out. Not everyone's happy in the organization. Yes, it's a home game. Yes, it's going to be a good crowd. Yes, it's a division rival game. I think Minnesota just has that better leverage. Other than the course of, they have to also, you talk about the importance of getting off to a good start when you have to go to a different country, not one, but 2 countries. You go to London for the Browns or for the Steelers. No, for the Browns, I think. And then you go to Dublin for the Steelers. Like, that's not an easy schedule. So getting off to a good start is essential, right? But I digress. Like I said, all 32 teams could say the same thing. Getting off to a good start is essential to a successful season. But yet, we've seen statistically, since an extra game's been added, since an extra playoff spot has been available, that you could go and start the season off 1-3 and still make a postseason run. But what it does is that it creates less of a room for mistakes. Like I said, the Bengals, we could testify that. The Bengals have been there. The worse you start off the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, the less mistakes. You have to be nearly perfect for the remainder of the year. And I prefer to have a team where, you're not going to win them all, especially in the back end of that stretch. So get off to the games, win the games that you should, put yourself in that position where, if you can't afford to lose a game. I don't care if you win a division. I don't care if you win a wild card. The importance is just to win the game. So, like I said, I want to hear what you guys have to think or say about that. Who's going to win week 1? How do you think, if you have the Bengals, how do you think that schedule is going to go down? I think they have about 9-10 game wins under their belt if everyone stays healthy and they do, they do what we say they should do, right? Like you said, play along. Leave a comment down below. If you have a different team, what do you think their schedule, record's going to be like this year? Be reasonable. Don't be unrealistic, right? Don't think that the Bears are going 17-0, because I don't think that that's going to happen. I may be wrong, but, this is the joy and the fun of what NFL brings to us week in and week out. And I will tag along. I'll let you guys know next week how I did. Probably going to shift a couple of changes to our show and trying to find time to recap games and whatnot. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited too. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Have those notifications turned on so you don't miss a single episode. And until next time, you guys enjoy your wonderful week. Enjoy your weekend with football, college, NFL, everything. We'll come back and we'll talk all about that soon. Guys, take care. Have a great rest of your day.